Welcome to Next to Madison, a podcast to help you live your best life.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Next to Madison. This is episode 167. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about marketing and how to build your business or your brand, your social media, your podcast, all that good stuff. Marketing is so essential to creating the type of wealth that we want and the business that we want and the success. Sometimes we just don't have the right tools or tricks. You know how a certain company or product just seems to have that magic touch and just takes off? Well, it's not so much magic. There's a lot of strategy and knowledge behind it. So I'm hoping to be able to gather that information today from our guest. Quick reminder though, please rate and review. We would love to hear your comments. So please review, subscribe, share it with your friends if you like it. We love each and every one of you for tuning in and making this podcast possible. We're having so much fun and so much more to come on a podcast that's going to make you happier, healthier, and wealthier. So with that being said, we'll be right back with our guests after this brief message from our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by Balance 7. Balance 7 is a concentrated alkaline with a pH of 11+. I didn't realize that acidosis is responsible for almost every infectious disease in our world today. With COVID-19 and the world opening back up, I started taking Balance 7, and after 3 days of taking it, I feel better. I have more energy. My focus is better. I think clearer. This supplement is amazing. Thanks, Dr. Noristani, for the recommendation. And all Next to Madison listeners are able to try it today by visiting balance7.com and enter code word Madison for a complimentary gift and free shipping.
All right, you guys, we are back with our amazing guest. We have got Stephen Semple with us today. He is one of the partners at Business Growth Guys, and he is going to drop the knowledge and drop the heat to build your brand, your podcast, your social media, all the important marketing factors to make you live a wealthier life. So with that being said, welcome, Stephen. How you doing?
Wow, what an intro. I'm doing great, thanks.
Good. I'm glad I got your approval.
There it is.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit down with me and to share this information, because it's so critical. No matter what you do, who you are, everybody has to build their brand if they want to create wealth and success. So let's just first start out. Tell us about your company.
So the Business Growth Guys is also part of an organization called the Wizard of Ads, which is a marketing agency group out of Austin, Texas. We have like 60 partners from all around the world: South America, Central America, Australia. Me, I'm in Canada, UK. So, and what's really unique about our group is that not only do we have all these partners that bring different skill sets so we can really put together a strong team of people for our customers, we built our business on small businesses. That's our bread and butter customer.
Okay.
Is the person doing $5 million a year in sales. That is owner operated, not big Fortune 500 companies. We actually don't do well with the big Fortune 500 companies. Our best customers are those owner-operated businesses. And a lot of what they have to do is different because they're smaller, newer, and all those other things. So it's really exciting, because the exciting part that I like about it, look, I spent a part of my career being a portfolio manager on Bay Street, which is Canada's version of Wall Street.
Okay.
And you spent your time making wealthier people wealthier. And what I love about what we do in marketing for owner-operated businesses is when you create something that brings people a stream of customers, you really impact their life, their family's lives, the value of their most important asset, their business. And you can make a real difference, I believe, in terms of the community. So it's really very, very exciting.
Well, that's great. So when they do they not use you when they go from small to big due to your marketing strategies?
No, they do. They do. I'll tell you one of the big differences is, so for example, one of our largest customers is a company called 1-800-GOT-JUNK, which is now the largest junk removal company on the planet. And we started with them when they were much smaller. And yeah, they'll typically, we keep working with them because the owner is still involved in the business. The businesses that we don't do well in are these ones that are corporate, committee, boardroom driven. We work one-on-one with the owner, one-on-one with the decision
Gotcha.
maker. And so if that person's still in place, yeah, we tend to continue to do very well with that business. But we started with them when they were a lot smaller.
Because and they're everywhere. I think everybody who's not living under a rock knows who they are. You see their trucks driving around. I think weren't they on Shark Tank too?
I don't, I can't say for sure, but I don't think they were ever on Shark Tank. Certainly not in the time that we've worked with them, have they been? So
Yeah. I mean, it's such a great business thing because everybody, no matter what, you try to, especially now, given the economy, not buy things you don't need, but what you feel you need at one point, you don't need anymore at another point. So you're always going to have junk. So it's just a brilliant, brilliant business model. So what were some of the strategies that you did with them? Because you guys really blew them into the next stratosphere.
yeah, so and this is one of the things that we have to look at with any small business. And if you take a look at whether it's 1-800-GOT-JUNK or any company that is large today, if you go back to their early days,
Mm-hmm.
they inevitably did something that was different. They did something often that the industry would look at as being crazy or you can't do. And it would be the thing
Yeah.
that made all the difference in the world. In fact, I do a podcast as well.
Nice.
Uh,
What's
it's
it called? So people know.
Yeah, the Empire Builders podcast. If you're looking for it, find the sandcastles. And in that podcast, every week we look at a business. So, for example, Heinz Ketchup, which is one that's coming out shortly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we go back to when they were small, when they started. Like when Henry Heinz got out of debtor prison. He was in debtor prison for a while.
Wow.
What did he do that all of a sudden led to the growth of this empire? And inevitably, it's always something that's a little bit crazy. So coming back to your question about 1-800-GOT-JUNK. 1-800-GOT-JUNK, their business model is the junk removal is based upon how much of the truck fills up.
Yeah.
So they don't want to come pick up just one thing.
Okay.
But most consumers have got one thing that they're thinking about getting rid of. Often it's a TV, right? So when we started with them, it was like, hey, we'll haul your TV away for 40, I forget what the number was, but it was like $49. Now, that would actually, most people wouldn't run that ad campaign because that would actually lose money. Sending a truck, just taking away. But what we knew was, it's never one thing. If you're there and if you ask the question, what else would you like us to take? Inevitably, it's like, yeah, take this, take that, take this other thing. And it was rare that it was ever just the one thing. Because usually somebody's got the old TV, has also got the old refrigerator in the garage, and they've also got the old wading pool in the backyard, and they've got all of these things that need to be taken away. And so when you're there, what else have you got? While
Yeah.
we're here, what else have you got? And everybody's like, yeah, take that, and yeah, take that. And the other part that was really brilliant, and I didn't create this campaign. This campaign was created by my partner, Roy Williams, is a really easy way of demonstrating how easy it is to work with 1-800-GOT-JUNK. So you could educate the consumer by saying, oh, we'll pick it up and take it away. And he came up with this really brilliant idea. You point, it disappears.
Yeah.
Right? So the advertising campaigns have got you point, and it's got literally a person running through the house pointing, and and this magical sound happening, and it disappears. And look, everyone knows it doesn't happen, that it just disappears, but it conveys that idea of, no, you don't have to move anything around. You point at it, we'll take it.
Yeah. And
Right?
so they can resell some of this stuff too, right?
Some of it they can, some just goes to the landfill. Some of it goes into recycling. They handle basically all of that. But the point is, what made them successful was an advertising campaign that made it easy for somebody to understand, A, they could afford it, at least for that one item. While they're there, it was easy for other things to happen. So it's
Brilliant.
about painting a picture in somebody's mind that makes it easy and is emotional and stands out and is fun and all those other things. The challenge in advertising is no one cares about you.
True.
They don't.
What can you do for them? That's
What can you
always
do
key.
for them? Yeah. But in addition to that, to get their time and attention, you have to entertain them a little bit.
Yeah, it's like you always remember those commercials that are like, for me, they're stupid, that have a jingle or are really dumb. Like, what's that? There's this one commercial that has like the bird, and the dude. It's like an insurance commercial.
Oh, Aflac.
No, that's the duck. That's stupid too. But then there's like another duck one. But you remember it because it's so stupid. Like the Geico does a really good job at that too, and Geico and
Right. Well, because
Allstate with the Mayhem guy. I mean, you want to be entertained for sure.
you absolutely need your ads to be entertaining. And entertainment doesn't necessarily mean it has to be comedy. It can be drama. It can be biography. But the point is, if I want to get somebody's time or attention, I need to entertain them, or they're just going to ignore me. We get exposed to thousands of ads a day.
I know, right?
And our brain has gotten really good at ignoring almost all of them.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's true.
So,
it hopefully stands out. So let's take it to like individuals that may be listening to this and they want to maybe build up like their social media presence or their average, let's just use this podcast.
Right.
Okay. So we've been growing great. Thank you everybody who's listening, but we want to expand and just blow it out of the park.
Right.
What are some strategies that this podcast or other people listening that may have a podcast or a book or something can start applying to their everyday strategies?
So first and foremost, one of the things that you've done really well on your podcast, and this is a good foundational thing for everyone to know, is it has to be entertaining and it has to be informative, and it can't just be all about I'm trying to sell you something. Like one of the things I see that companies make a big mistake on their social media is, well, I need people to know about my plumbing service, right? So I'm gonna talk about my plumbing service, and it's like they don't care about your plumbing. You are now like that guy at the party who you sit there and you say, oh, such and such is oh, did you hear Susan's expecting? Oh, excuse me. Hi, Susan, you're expecting. You need life insurance, right? Like, it's like, stop it.
Yeah, totally.
You have to earn that audience first. And to earn that audience first is you have to, first of all, give them something they want, which is not advertising your product or service. So first and foremost, you need to come up with, okay, what is something that is interesting? What is something that is interesting and entertaining or whatever to them? What's scratching their itch, right? And as you build audience, it then starts giving you, to advertise, put in advertisements, things along that lines. But again, it's never about, your podcast is immediately starts with advertising something.
Right.
If that makes sense. Now, how you build an audience, building an audience is really tough. Like it is amazing how on one hand, when we look at social media, it's so attractive. It's so, because we look and we go, oh my God, there is so many people going to YouTube and there's so many people going to podcasts. But what we don't realize is how hard it is to stand out just because of the sheer volume. So let me give you an idea.
Yes.
If you have a YouTube channel that has 1,000 subscribers, you are in the top 15% of all YouTube channels on the planet.
Wow.
If you have a podcast that has an episode that in the first week gets 72 listeners, you are in the top 50% of all podcasts on the planet. Isn't that
50% is
astounding?
not that impressive. I was like, yeah, we're way past 50%.
Right, you're way past 50%. But if you think about, there's hundreds and hundreds of millions of episodes, which means there's
Oh, yeah.
hundreds of millions of episodes that have less than that.
Yeah.
That and that's what you're the first part is you're having to compete to climb out of these really small listenerships, right? Like most podcasts, most YouTube channels, they really don't get going. The other thing is that I've observed with people who have had really successful podcasts, there's two things that have led to the success. One is they've already have a baked in audience, right? So in other words, they were already a celebrity and they start a podcast, or they're like, even if it's known within a small group, even like a Joe Rogan, who was known in a small group, that gave him an initial leg up, or they stay at it long enough. Most people, the first year is the really hard year, whether it's podcast, like any social media you do, the first year is really hard. Like, were you happy at the end of your first year with your listenership to this podcast? Probably not.
No. I was happy with myself that I didn't give up.
Yes.
and I was able to pinpoint more of our target audience.
Yes.
And what I wanted the show to become. But yeah, it really wasn't until like almost 2 years. Like we were way over that 50% mark, but it wasn't until that point that it was like started to catch on. And for me, I think the reason that it stayed authentic and that people came back and they wanted to listen and it started to grow was that I was doing it for the love of educating people to improve their lives. So even though that first year and a half, first 2 years, it was really, we were kind of self-funded. We were basically self-funding it. It was the passion that was behind it to keep doing it. And now it's starting to pay off. But obviously, if you're going to do something and continue to do something, especially when I have tons of other things going on too.
Right.
You want to make it to where it's profitable, or else you get to a point one day where you're like, something's got to give. I need the time back. I got to go to the most profitable things. So luckily our listeners are loyal and people are catching on to certain things. And obviously certain episodes have a much bigger capture than other ones. And that's just going to happen. Depends on what people are interested in, what benefits them. And, but yeah, it's always, I think consistency is key. And that's been something that has been brought up is the one thing is like some podcasts will be like, oh, we're taking a hiatus for a week, or we're not recording for this month, or yada, yada, yada. We've been around for over 3 years. I have never missed an episode.
Right.
Every Thursday since June 6th of 2019, there has been a brand new episode of Next to Madison.
Right.
I haven't missed one. Now, granted, we can pre-record, which is nice, but it's that consistency too, I think is key.
It really is. The consistency of publication, the consistency of format and voice, although, you can certainly modify it over time as you learn things, not all of a sudden it being one way, 1 week and something completely different the next is so important. But I do not want to overlook one thing that you said that I think is so important. You started this podcast because there was this authentic message you wanted to share with the world. And that is so important in social media because real matters. People can tell whether you believe what you're talking about and whether you're passionate about what you're talking about. They can tell.
Yeah.
They can tell. They can pick that up. And they may not pick it up in one episode, but remember, our key here is repeat. They'll certainly pick it up by the third.
Yeah.
And they're gone. But the other part behind that is there is no fast, easy button on this stuff. I hate to say it. I wish I could sit there and say, do this, And in 3 months, you're going to have all this. Anybody who says that to you is either naive, dumb, or lying, right? It
Yeah.
just doesn't happen that way, which also means you've got to look at something and say, I'm prepared to continue doing this, even slogging through those days where my listenership and my following is small, because this is something I want to share with the world and I believe it's important. I'm going to continue doing it. And I like sharing this message, because otherwise you will just not make it through. You won't survive.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. I mean, there's so many, you know, podcasts or social media channels or YouTube channels, let's say, that have just kind of been abandoned because people
Mhm.
don't get that like overnight success and they walk away. Where sometimes they take years to build.
Yeah.
Like I don't think Rogan was really took off for a while.
Right. But
It was like growing, but it wasn't
yeah,
what it was today for a long time.
yeah.
But he stayed with it because the consistency with the messaging.
And he started with a tribe of people who knew him from his UFC time. And he
Yeah,
was
and comedy.
able, because of that, also to line up interviews with people who are famous in that space. So he did a
Yes.
really great job of leveraging that to get him, to get him out of the gate and get him going. And if you took a look at the top podcasts, here's one of the most interesting things. And I know we're talking mostly about podcasts because this is a podcast, but
Yeah,
it's
we're on a
but
podcast.
but it's the same. But it's the same if you look at YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or any of those things. What's really incredible is the ones that are big. Take a look at how much content they've created. You take a look at the top podcast. It's like 300 episodes, 400 episodes. This isn't their first year or their second year. They've been
Well,
at it for a while.
exactly. And that's exactly right. Yeah. And the social media, obviously, if you're a celebrity and you're on TV, you're going to have a bigger following. But if you are social media famous, which is the new term, um, it's like you have to create that content to kind of stand out. So what is your advice to growing your social media?
So before we move on to that, there's just one other thing I want to add.
Okay.
And it's a little bit of psychology, but it's important in terms of building that connection with people, which brings them back. And bringing people back, I also think when people are building these formats, they don't think about enough. Because if you're just adding a person and losing a person and adding a person and losing a person, or even adding two and losing one, you'll never get there. You've got to add, keep, add, keep, add, keep. That's how you build
Yes.
these, right?
Yes.
So one of the things that's also important is don't be afraid, and I don't care whether you're an accountant or I don't care who you are. Do not be afraid to share things about yourself, personal information about yourself. And it's not that you have to go out of the way to mention, oh, I've got, two daughters and here's their name, here's their age.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to share those things, and you should, because there's this weird thing called parasocial relationships.
Okay.
And what happens is, and this has been studied by psychologists and people with PhDs and all this other stuff, is that when we share personal details about ourselves, right, even if it's negatives, the listener on the other end actually starts believing you're friends. They actually start
Yeah.
feeling they're in a friendship with you. And look, if you take a look at the stuff the Kardashians have done, they've been very, like, everybody's like, oh my God, they air everything. But guess what? That airing of everything is what has built that relationship
Yeah.
with their listeners that has made them loyal to not only following them, but doing, like, if they say, hey, I use this and it's great, it's like, well, that's like my friend, like my neighbor said, it's great. I'm gonna buy it. It is that, and it's the sharing of personal information that actually builds those bonds, and being vulnerable, and sometimes sharing things that aren't so great.
Yeah, but there is a thing, and I just want to say this. There is a thing called oversharing. So
Yes.
be careful of that too. Have you noticed, like, sometimes I'll go on Facebook and I'll be like, oh God, Mark must be wasted again. Like, what the heck are they talking about? or they'll start talking about like their breakup or like their personal, and it's like, okay, this needs to be with your therapist, not with all these
Right.
strangers who are now talking behind. Like, this is, so share the stuff that you feel that you can connect with people on. Hey,
Yes.
you know, feeling a little anxious today. Some TikTok channels are saying that we're in Mercury retrograde. Economists are saying we're heading to a recession. The market's saying we're all losing money. Just feeling shitty. I know you guys are too. So I just wanted to shout out and just give everyone a heads up, just that, you know, we're all in this together. That's a positive message.
Yes.
You're relaying like, hey, I feel like shit. Because a lot of people do right now. A lot of people are kind of uncertain about things. They don't know what's going on. You've got less money. No matter what you do, you know, it's important to be careful. You don't need to say like, yeah, my boyfriend cheated on me and my life's falling apart and I got kicked out of the house, and
Right.
too much. Go to your
Yes.
therapist, call your friends, call your mom.
Yeah, but absolutely, you can overshare, but also what I struggle with customers, so I'll have a lot of customers who are, you know, they'll be a consultant or, as I said, a lawyer or something like that, and they'll say, well, I don't really want to mention this thing about about my kid. And it's like, well, you know, that you're a little tired today because, you know, like the baby was up all night. It's like, no, share that. Share
Well,
that.
it's relatable.
It's relatable. Makes you relatable. Makes you a
Yes.
human being. I now know a little bit about you. Share those things. Be open.
They
And
want to work with people they like and that they can relate to. You know what I mean? Like, I went to a facialist and she said something like, I asked her if I should, you know, I was going around getting some facial stuff and like laser. And I had asked her, I said, do you think I need to touch my lips or anything like that? Like, I've never done that, but everyone seems to be doing it and it looks so good and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, well, if you want, she's like, your lips look fine unless you want to look like you just got punched in the face and then sucked dick. And I was like, I like you. Like, that's my humor. Are you kidding? So if I get my lips, I'm on her. She was like, oh my God, don't repeat that. I can't believe it just came out of my mouth. Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, no, girl, I will never forget you. You're my girl now, if I ever do that. So sometimes when you're having a bad day and you want to say what's really on your mind, sometimes I can connect with somebody. And I was like, I like you. Because I would have said the same thing.
Right. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I was
But
like,
coming back to your core question of how do you grow and promote a podcast?
mm-hmm.
There is no easy button on growing and promoting a podcast. There's a lot of things.
And thank you for all my loyal listeners who are tuned in, because we have grown amazingly, and now we're able to run ads on the podcast, and now we can create better content and bring you more to make you happier, healthier, and wealthier. That's our goal here. But it's like, you never settle on a number. So if you want to get into like the millions and millions, what do I need to do?
Well, so here's one thing that is specific to podcasts. So
Okay.
Not specific to all social media, but certainly specific to podcasts. One of the problems with podcasts is the search engines and things like that on podcasts absolutely suck. It is no one has come along and done a Google search engine for podcasts. So finding good podcasts is really, I don't know whether you find that. It's hard. It's hard to find good podcasts, which also means it's very hard for you to get your podcast in the podcast area seen.
Yes.
Right? Because it's not keyword driven. It's not theme driven, other than, entrepreneurship or something along that lines. Who does have a good search engine, however, is YouTube. And a lot of people are now consuming audio podcasts actually on YouTube.
Yeah, so we also have a YouTube channel, which I mentioned to people, but nobody goes there. Some people go there, but everyone's like audio. So if you guys want to see like my stupid outfits, my shiny face, any of that, definitely check out the YouTube channel.
Right.
But yeah, we barely have any subscribers on the YouTube channel, but I don't promote it like
Right.
really ever. And I
So
need to.
so one of the things is make sure to have your things on YouTube,
They're all on. Yep.
because the other opportunity you have on YouTube is keywords. Because remember, YouTube is better on keywords.
Yeah.
You can
Have
really
those.
exploit the keywords on YouTube. The other thing you can do on YouTube, and we've been doing this, and we found some really funny successes, like weird ones, is creating shorts. And so we will run shorts of our podcast on YouTube. And we found that that has actually gotten a lot of attention.
Wait, so do you do the whole episode on YouTube as well, and then
As well.
also do shorts?
And then
Okay,
also,
so we hadn't done that because I noticed Rogan does that.
yeah.
So you do the same episode, or you'd be like, but you do it as the topic.
Right. So we'll take we'll take some highlights of the topic, and then make it a YouTube, like make it like a 30-second YouTube short. And of course, when you make it as a short, you do put some funny, you do put some
Yeah.
visual to it. But because it's a 30-second, it can be some still pictures, right?
Yeah, or it could be a little longer. I know Rogan does that if it's like just a topic within, because his is like 3 hours long and not everyone
Right.
can get through. So they'll take the meat. But when you say keywords, what is that magic number? What is the minimum keywords you should have on a YouTube video?
Yeah. I do not believe that there is. It used to be that you wanted to make sure you had lots of keywords and there was some algorithm. All of that is gone now. Really, it's about using the keywords to help somebody who is interested in your information find your information. So one of the mistakes people can make on keywords is they'll go after a keyword saying, "Oh, this keyword has lots of listenership."
Okay.
But if you bring over a listener based on that keyword and they hit your episode and your episode really doesn't have anything to do with that keyword, all you're doing is getting somebody in and then they're gone.
Yeah.
The other thing is what you really need to look at is the first couple of minutes of your episode and make sure that if you're attracting somebody to that episode, and keep in mind, you can do different keywords for different episodes, right? If you're attracting somebody to that episode saying, oh, this is about facial surgery, like this is about cosmetic, let's say you're doing one cosmetic surgery.
Yeah.
Because of your conversation.
Yeah.
Conversation around lips. Okay, you're doing something about lip augmentation, right?
Yeah.
It better be obvious in the first couple of minutes to a person that that's what's being discussed. If that doesn't come up until minute 27,
Oh God, no, they're gone.
they're
I
not
would
gonna-
be gone.
right? But people forget about that. That really it's about. So very, very famous marketer. He's been dead a bunch of years, and he was around long before social media. A guy by the name of David Ogilvy. And
Okay.
David
What was
Ogilvy.
his name? Ogilvy?
Ogilvy. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I've
there's
heard
even a
that name.
book, Ogilvy on Advertising. Yeah. He was very big in print media
Yeah.
and did some of the world's most famous advertisements. Like we did a podcast actually on one of his ad campaigns, the Hathaway Shirt Man. And anyway, he would talk about, and I believe if he was around today, he would be killing it in his social media.
Oh,
Seriously.
sure.
He would sit there and say, the purpose of the picture is to get you to read the headline. The purpose of the headline is to get you to read the first sentence of the paragraph. The purpose of the last sentence of the paragraph is to get you to read the first sentence of the next paragraph. So this is how things should link together.
Yeah.
So we now took that and we applied, and it makes so much sense, right? You open up a magazine, oh, picture catches your eye.
Yep.
You then, and if the picture then gets you to read the headline, you read the headline, you read the first paragraph or the first sentence, right? So now let's think about that from social media. Social media, I post a visual image that might even have the title with it, catches my attention. Now, if there's a disconnect between that and the next thing, I'm gone. I'm gone. I'm going to disappear. Just like if the picture in the magazine was a picture of somebody on a beach and the headline was sunny Florida, and then the first paragraph is, well, accounting services are really important. You're like,
Yeah, totally.
right? But social media is the same. It needs to link together. And a person will only that first minute of your podcast is the first sentence of the paragraph, which means it's got a link to the title, which means it's got a link to the image. It all has to link together. You can't just go, oh, here's an image with this funky title that's going to get clicks. That's clickbait. That's why it doesn't work. This person then gets to it and they go, I was clicking on a thing about Tiger Woods and you haven't, I've read a paragraph and you haven't talked about Tiger Woods. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So when you're doing these things, it needs to link together and be this gentle journey for somebody. And then once you get them into it, they're into it. But those first bit, it's really important to make it engaging and linked together so that it flows and makes sense.
No, that's definitely key, because I think a lot of people will do that, with Twitter or with Instagram or even with, obviously with YouTube too. They will look at the trending keywords and then use those. But if it's not related, then you're just going to piss people off.
Right.
They're looking for things. Because I know when I was looking, for example, I did a new laser to, make my skin look better. And I was searching the laser by the hashtag on social media. And there were other things that weren't even related to it. It was other cosmetics, other lasers. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, it's annoying. So it's really stick to the thing. And the ones that got followers, that got my attention, was the stuff that actually fit into the halo laser that I was specifically looking for. And on TikTok as well,
Right. And that is so important. So what I find is too many times people, yes, they're chasing the trending thing, but they're not actually linking into it. And then all you're doing is annoying somebody. And look, annoying somebody is not the way of turning them into a follower. It really, it doesn't work. And so if you've got something and there's something trending and it doesn't fit into it, it doesn't fit into it. Sometimes you just have to move on. Just like you, I struggle with this a lot in terms of fitting into what's trending, because my topics are, very historical. They're studying the businesses of today and what did they do when they were small businesses. And now the advantage to that is I can pre-record. So you had mentioned, you can pre-record some episodes. There's some real advantages to pre-recording episodes in terms of organizing your life and always making sure you've got something that's high quality to publish. But the disadvantage is you can't always make that fit what's trending today because you recorded it a week ago.
Yeah, totally. Oh, exactly.
So that can sometimes be and then there's other times it's like, oh no, I can make this fit. This is awesome, right?
Yeah.
I can make an old episode fit, so therefore it's time to republish an old episode.
Oh yeah, remarket it, sure.
Yeah, because it's now actually fitting the thing that's trending right now.
Yeah.
But you can't force it. It has to be organic and natural and flow and be respectful of the person's time. So I always look at it this way. Imagine that somebody will give you $10 for listening to your podcast. Imagine that. Now, as you're producing it and making it, think, okay, is this worth $10? Yes, but a podcast on facial laser therapy. What is it called? What's the term for the
laser treatments? It builds collagen, makes you look younger. It's why I'm glowing right now. Well, that ring light, but
well, and that's why people should go check out the YouTube version of.
This is why you guys gotta come see. I just had the halo laser. I'm actually very happy with the results. My neck is still hurting, but
no, it looks great.
Well, thank you.
But the thing is, then you'll have somebody like me. And it's not that I couldn't do it. I just don't have interest in those things.
Exactly.
So what'll happen is you would never attract me with that message. So you also have to, you'd have to look at it and go, okay, this information may be worth 10, and I just pick a dollar amount just to change the thinking. Who is this information valuable to? And then when you answer that question, it then allows you to position it better in social media. And when I say that, I don't mean your traditional BS targeting. Like how most marketers target is they'll sit there and they'll go, my target market, it's a woman who's 35 years old, who's professional, who lives in this neighborhood, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Because that's saying that every woman who's 35 and who's professional lives in that neighborhood are the same.
Yeah.
You actually may have more in common with a 45-year-old blue collar female.
Right.
Because the two of you both might be interested in laser treatments for skin.
Yeah.
It's going deeper than that. It's like, what is it? So, in that case, it's about, no, it's somebody who wants to look this way and feel this way and have this type of life and whatnot. So you need to target on a more emotional basis.
Yeah, exactly. And, with podcasts too, it's like all our episodes are very different. Some, will attract certain people. Some will only listen to the financial episodes. Some will only listen to the, skincare episodes or the more of the girly episodes. So it's all very, it can vary. And I'm the same way as, a listener of podcasts as well. I don't listen to all of them. I listen to the one where I'm interested in the topic they're discussing. Because we don't have all day to just listen to this stuff. And I'm not a podcast in the car person. I'm usually in music and podcasts like at the gym. Because I need to get lost in like education. And I usually look for podcasts that are like teaching me something,
Awesome. Yeah. But there's a great example because the automatic assumption on podcasting is in the car. And you're right. Not everybody, I'm a podcaster in the car.
Yeah.
When I do the workouts, I'm looking more for the music. Exactly.
Yeah. Everyone's different. Yeah.
Everyone is different. But the other part that you're nailing that I think a lot of people, when they're promoting their social media, make a mistake on is they want to have the same promotional strategy for all their episodes. And their episodes might be speaking to very different people.
Yeah. Oh, it's true. I mean, most episodes are always, geared a little bit towards, different people. Some people are more gravitated toward the topic. My hope is that the loyal listeners will stay on to learn about the topic. I always say to my people when I don't do crypto episodes, because we had a lot of people come in, they loved it. And I just said, I don't want to lose my crypto bros. Okay. This is important too, because this is all the circle of life, which leads to financial success, which is true. Everything's a balance.
And we all we're also all like this, I believe. There's the podcasts. There are my favorite podcasts that I will listen to. And I'll even listen to the episodes where I don't know whether I'll be interested in this, but I'm going to listen to it because those are the ones that have been my favorites. And you'll listen to most episodes. And then, then there's the other ones that you much more pick and choose.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. So before we wrap up, first of all, tell us about where people can find you if they want to work with you to grow the business. And are you primarily just small businesses that are like goods and services, or do you guys also work with kind of online type companies?
Yeah, we do podcasts. Yeah, all of the above. It really so here's how it works. So the best way to connect with us is go to businessgrowthguys.com. Okay. And one of the things that we offer everyone is a free 90-minute session that we do with them. I don't like sales. I don't think anybody wakes up in the morning going, yay, I'm meeting with a salesperson today. I don't think we jump out of bed that way.
Well, they're just thinking, how am I going to say no? What am I going to do to get this person out of my office?
Exactly. How quickly can I get them out of my house, right? Is really the thought that we have. So what I believe in is if I can do some good work for you and I can deliver some value, you're going to be interested in moving forward. So we offer this 90-minute session. We call it the Empire Builders Program, and do this starter session. And there's 4 questions that we help people address, plus any other questions they want. But just we help them understand: are Are they targeting the right customer? Are they using the right media? How should they be using social media? And what should they be spending as a marketing budget? What should their marketing budget be given their goals and the size of their business? And we will actually go through those things in the 90 minutes. And then, if at that point, if they're interested, we can then talk to them about what the next step is, because the next step is different based upon what type of business, what type of size, what are your goals, and all those other things. And here's the other part. Here's how much I believe in. It's really important to deliver value, whether it's a podcast or an initial meeting or anything along that lines. If at the end of that meeting you think you've wasted your time, it wasn't worth your 90 minutes, I'll send you $100 Starbucks gift card.
Wow, that's a pretty big guarantee. How many of those have you sent out?
The funny thing, you're going to laugh at this answer, because I'm going to answer this in two parts. First of all, I'm going to say none, haven't sent out any yet. And I wish I actually have, because if I'd sent out one, it would make the offer more believable than saying none. But so far, I have not had to send out any.
People are happy with this free 90-minute session, and that's a very
and if they aren't, it's a great way for me to learn. I got to improve it.
Yeah.
Right. If I had a bunch of people going, no, it wasn't worth $100, I'd be like, what am I doing wrong? It wouldn't be, oh, screw them. It'd be like, what am I? Clearly, what I'm doing here is not valuable. Right.
Yeah.
It would actually be. So I would actually look at it as being really great. I would actually be thankful, and I would look at it as being great feedback to basically say, well, I've got to improve this, because even if I didn't have the $100 guarantee, it would mean I'd be meeting with a whole pile of people who didn't find the meeting useful, which means they were never going to become a customer.
Yeah. Well, since you're so bummed out you've never sent a Starbucks gift card, you can send one to me. I just bitched about the price of coffee with inflation. So I'll be happy to take that gift card off your hands.
It'll make a small contribution to a latte. It won't quite buy you a full one, but
exactly. I know. It's like crazy. It's crazy. But tell us real quick, you guys kind of have a different type of strategy where you base your pricing on how they do.
Right.
Which is very unique and so great for a small business that probably doesn't have a lot of excess capital.
Yeah. So we base.
That's cool.
Yeah, our fee structure, and we would go again, and we would go through it with somebody, but at the core of our fee structure is our fees are based upon the top line growth of the business. So if your business grows, that's how we're incentivized.
Yeah, which I think is great, because it's like, PR companies, for example, they just get this flat fee and then you just hope they get you in the right places, but there's no guarantee, but their shit's guaranteed. So it's kind of like, well, I'm just going to do what I do. If you don't like it, don't do it next month.
Right.
Versus like, wouldn't it be better if they were incentivized somehow? Hey, if I can book you on this, you owe this amount. If I could do like, I think more people would use PR agencies, and I think they would have a better reputation and a better success rate too, because they're just so expensive, Yeah,
and the part that I also like about it is, if I'm giving you a set of recommendations, and look, we can all make mistakes. None of us are perfect. But the thing that is that I really and truly believe in those recommendations, because if those recommendations work, I work really well, I make more money. Mm-hmm. So that basically means I'm not going to recommend anything like that I really and truly don't believe in. And especially in the advertising industries, one of the challenges in the advertising industries is a lot of the revenue that agencies make are commissions on the selling of the media, right? So you do a radio campaign, there's a commission that comes back from the radio station. Well, that means, what is my recommendation? Do more, buy more media. Mm-hmm. Because I'm incentivized for you to buy more media. Now, I'm not incentivized to buy. In fact, when we work with a client, I'll just use radio as an example. So we're working with a client and we're doing a radio campaign. The commission that would normally be paid by the radio station, we just add that to the buy. So basically, they're getting just net more. We're not the only money that we make working with a client is what they pay us directly. There's no commissions, no kickbacks from other suppliers, none of those.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So yeah, you guys go check out businessgrowthguys.com.
Yeah.
Check it out. They can help you. Whatever you're trying to grow and expand, I don't care what business you're in, you need advertising, you need marketing, you need a brand strategy, you need something.
Yeah.
So check them out. Hey, even do the 90-minute call. That sounds like a great, valuable thing. You probably learn some nuggets of wisdom and all that good stuff. So this was amazing. So Stephen, thank you so much for taking time out of your marketing busy day to
Thank you. All right. Oh, this was fun. I really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll send you. You look like you need a little perk up, so we'll send you a gift card for Starbucks, so
Oh,
you can go.
I literally am like, I'm never buying coffee out again. This is bullshit. Because I'm thinking that I'm going to have a direct contribution in the price going down, right? And then I'm like sitting here, I'm like, I count my steps. I'm a person that looks at my watch. How many steps do I have? I need to have a certain amount of steps. I need steps. I can eat dessert or go out and have beers and blah, 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 blah. And I'm sitting here driving past the gas station going, well, I'll just walk everywhere at this point. Until I get my steps, yeah, I might look like I don't have a car anymore and I might get picked up by a hitchhiker, but like I'm going to be in great freaking shape. But I'm not giving into those prices.
There's the plan.
I'm going to go walk to the gym. I'm walking everywhere. It's going to be great. So, well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your knowledge. And thank you, everybody who's listening, wherever you may be listening. We appreciate you tremendously. Please don't forget to rate, subscribe, review. It helps us out tremendously. And we will see you back here on next time to find out who's next.
Hey, your host here, Madison Malloy. Please make sure to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms and please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. Also, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@next2madison.com. I thank you again for listening. Bye.